Thank you all so much for being here on such short notice to talk a little bit about the website. I know that this has been a hot topic around the university. We've been waiting a long time, and I'm very excited to, give some updates and some kind of a future view of what we're looking to do with the website, because, I hope everyone has had a chance to peruse through it and see it and look at it, and, hopefully you all see some of the positive updates and changes that we've made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop talking momentarily and allow Mark Marchek to come up to speak. He is our digital media specialist, and he and Michelle have been knee-deep in this website prior to my starting here at Union a few weeks ago. So I'm coming kind of at the end of the whole process, but I'm extremely excited to be a part of this process because I know how important website is to the university and to our enrollment and recruitment efforts. So again, thank you all for your patience and your support as we continue to work through all the kinks and the issues that we've had. Again, it's a thing where you can only control what you can control, and we're working diligently to make all of the edits and changes that are necessary to make this website just really pop and work. So what I want to do first is go ahead and allow Mark to come up and speak. What we're going to do, we're going to have a question and answer session at the end. Because I want to get through the presentation and be a good steward of your time here because we did start a little late. So we'll do a question and answer piece at the end. I do believe we're muted across the university just to limit the amount of background noise that may be out there. So once we come to the end, we'll do a question and answer session at the end, and then we'll be all good. Good stuff? All right, Mark, it's all you, sir.
Great, okay. Just set up really quickly, and we will start showing screen. That's good. Green means good. Okay, I think we're ready here. Perfect. Okay, so hello. It's nice to see so many familiar faces in the audience today here in Cincinnati. And then from everybody else joining me, my name's Mark Barchek. I am the digital media specialist. And I'm here to talk about website updates and changes to the new website, which I'm sure you guys have probably noticed maybe if you've opened a web browser lately. So the first thing I want to do, especially for people from afar, is show who we are. That's me there. Let's zoom in there. Sorry about that. So that's me. And that's Michelle Roth, who is our communications. She's in charge of essentially all communications that comes from the university. So us two have been really taking on this effort to make sure that this turns out the best it can for Union. So what I'd like to start with is our website history. Now, many of you have probably been with Union for quite a while, and you've seen the website change so dramatically since your time here. When you didn't have a website. See, I don't even know. I'm so glad I wasn't here for that. I can't imagine what that would be like. But now we do. Now we do. That's fantastic. So in case you've seen all the first versions, but in case anyone hasn't, this is one of the first versions that came out when we, got our style set in place. So this was blast from the past, what Union used to look like. Just let that sink in for a second. I know, right? Always good to show. This is the one that used to be up that most people are pretty familiar with, I imagine, right now. So right now I want to get into essentially when we came on board. So this project has been going on since May of 2014. That's when we first got in contact with an external company that we have worked with to make this transition happen. They've been really in charge of making sure all our content, all our text and navigation is really in the right place, and we have been working on making sure all that text is right and accurate. So that's kind of been our relationship. So this is a graph from our initial start all the way up to launch day, okay? That blue line is where neither Michelle, Mark, or me, or Kimbria had an influence. So all of that, none of us were involved. I started, and Michelle got involved in the yellow-orange section. So you can kind of get a sense of this has been steamrolling even before we came on. So that's when we started, and in the green, that tiny green there, is when Kimbria started. So you can see how much she had to take on that other people had already accomplished and done. So that kind of visualizes Kimbria's ability to roll with the situations that we've had, which has been really helpful. So that's kind of where we came on with Converge. And what I'd actually like to, before I get to this part, I had a little technical difficulties, but I want to talk to you about the old website, okay? So these are some statistics on the old website. We had analytics starting when we first launched from 2009 all the way up to now. So when we talk about analytics, they're the numbers of who's on the website, who's doing what, okay? So over those entire 6 years, 2 months, and 7 days that we have been collecting info, we've had a little over 1 million unique viewers, okay? Sounds pretty good, right? That's a big number. That's a good big number, right? See some heads shaking. Well, it's nothing quite like the graphs of the most popular videos on YouTube, for instance, that's like Gangnam Style. If you guys are familiar, most of you have probably seen it. That did, hundreds of thousands or hundreds of millions of views in a few days, right? So that was a concern when I came on. I came on to figure out, okay, how can we make this website work? Where is it not working? And try and figure out why it isn't working. Okay, so out of that 1 million viewers, we've had several amounts of web pages throughout our history, and they've all done different tasks. You guys have, I'm sure, noticed things missing, things jumping, things being removed, things being added over your entire time here. And so when we look at all of the pages that have been tracked over the whole history, 39 of them are really substantial. Okay, so 39 web pages, and you might be wondering, okay, so what makes a web page substantial? How do you measure that? Okay. So if we take that 1 million viewers over the entire 6 years that we've existed, that 39 is if people had visited more than 10 times a day on average. So only 39 of our pages had been visited by 10 people a day. So that's substantial. And that means something's not working. And so that's when we started with this website and said, okay, we need to change something. We need to figure out how to make this work for a union. So what I decided to do was put a list of the ones that are working here. I'm not sure if the Zoom is working. Yeah, I can zoom in here. We will zoom in. So these are the 39 that you guys can be very proud of. If your department made the cut, congratulations, that's fantastic. The ones in yellow are highlighted for logins, essentially, so those don't really count. Those are people trying to actually log into a system. But everything else are our most popular 39. Somebody, or 10 people used it every day on average for the last 6 years, which is great. So now I want to show you the ones that didn't quite make the cut, okay? And I have to zoom out and find it here. You see this little line? That's where we're going. Okay, we can zoom in here. It looks like mountains, but no, those aren't mountains. Those are text links turned on their side so they can actually fit of all the pages that did not work, right? That under 10 people, actually all these pages that I selected, these aren't even all of them. These are people that had less than 1 visitor per day. So this is a situation that Michelle and I found ourselves in, and we tried to contemplate how to get ourselves out of this. To kind of put this into perspective, I'm going to show you the website again. So this was our this was our old website. And if we take how much percent of visitors actually saw the website, this is a visualization of it. This is how much of our website they were viewing, a little sliver. Everything else they didn't get to because they didn't stay, they weren't using it. So that's what we had to figure out. How do we make that really show, make that shine, and refigure the website so it's working for every department. So another little fun graph I want to show you before we get started into the new website is, well, how did people navigate the website, right? I think all of us have had frustrations in the past with finding things, right? We had to dig through things. We had to send people to, very strange links and parts of the website to get our students to where they needed to go. So this is actually a map of what our students had to go through. Okay, so our future students had to navigate this. If this was a maze, do you guys think you could get through it? Probably not. It's very convoluted. You can't even see the home page in the center of a mess of links. So that's kind of where we came from. One last visualization to really put the point home. We're going to start with one dot equal to one web page. Okay, so one dot is one web page of the old site that we had to figure out the text and convert it over into a new usable website. So we're not quite there. That's the start. This was our old website. Almost 1,000 web pages for our students to navigate. Yeah, yeah, it was substantial. So now I have a little challenge for you. Guys, can you find the green dots? Yeah. Do you see both of them? There's two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Two people. Did everybody find them? Still looking?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have a headache.
I know. Absolutely. So the headache you're yeah, the headache you're alluding to is the headache our students had in trying to find a specific piece of information in the whole web of web pages that we had.
I got to wear a dress like that.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is show you the new site, but show you it in the same form. Okay. And I want to see if you can find the green dot easier. There's our new website. It is around 83 to 86 pages, depending on what fixed or broken at the moment. But it's about 83 pages at this point. Consolidating all of that information into 83 pages was our task when we were brought on. So if you can imagine, it's been very time-consuming, and if you've been wondering maybe, hey, where's Mark? Hey, where's Michelle? We've been kind of hidden away in our offices working on this problem, essentially. So the next thing I want to do is actually talk about that process a little bit. An easy way to visualize that as well is I will be right back. I'm going to grab a little prop.
Don't say little.
That's not quite little prop. These were the web changes that we've had. These are the actual edits that we've been working on since Michelle and I started on this project. These are edits from all kinds of different sources from Michelle. These are Michelle's personal edits right here. To department edits, which fantastic relationship with the departments to get us these edits and really make sure these happen on the new website. So, and all of these are content that I had worked with Converge on figuring out where this goes. So that is a visualization of the content that we have done. So let's talk about versioning before I actually get into a demo of the website, okay? Because you've probably noticed not everything's there, right? What we had to do with all this text is really find what made the most sense for a version 1. What made the most sense to build a new framework that we can add upon and make sure all our text, all of that is accurate and correct for our students. So we decided for version 1 is accuracy. Make sure the content that's there is correct and makes sense for our students to find. So this is an idea of what's coming out next. And something I'll talk about today is the new governance model. So I'll touch on that at the end of the session about how is this website governed? Who submits changes, who reviews those changes, how that whole system works. There will actually be a system this time, believe it or not. You won't have to actually just email somebody that you don't know. There will actually be a process that you can go through to make changes and request those changes and have us be on a timeline for those changes for you. So you can see those happen. We can work with you directly to make sure all of those things happen. So that's the number, version 1.1 is what I'm envisioning that. So 1.2 is really streamlining all enrollment processes because that's really what the website is about, isn't it? It's about bringing our future students into the university, and once we've got them, then we can do whatever from there. So it's really about our future students. So it's really that part, that 1.2 will be about personalization. How do we give the enrollment counselors the right tools to use on the website so we can be the best and the brightest in the online and hybrid university system. So 1.3, personalization. What I mean by personalization is really bringing out the people of Union. I don't think that's something that's been missing from all versions of the websites, really describing who we are as people. If people knew Anthony, for instance, I think they'd be really impressed with you know, Business Office and different things like that. So we want to make sure that all of those personalities really show through on the new website. It's particularly important to our enrollment counselors that they can relate to incoming students as people. That also goes into consideration of our staff and faculty in terms of the department and getting people to personally connect to the departments and our faculty especially. So that includes things like faculty profile rollouts across the board for all the programs, and really making the people of Union shine. That's the goal. So 1.4, we kind of skipped that one ahead, and I went live with that yesterday because I had some extra time in my days. So we have a new alumni donation system as well. That's really targeting, we not only want to target our future students, but also people that have left. Make sure we keep them. Make sure that we have a very strong alumni community. So the alumni donation system was part of that. So 1.5 is tracking and integration. So we can figure out, now that we've got a good foundation to build upon, how do we roll that out into our recruiting efforts? How do we make sure that we're doing website recruiting and we're actively using the website to gain more enrollment here at Union? And version 2.0 will be user interface, essentially a facelift. Make sure that we've got a great base, but make sure everything gives a fit and finish to it that really just impresses our students. So now what I'm going to do is actually pull up the site. I know you guys have seen it, but that's where we're going to go next. And I'm going to walk through a few parts of the website that I'd like to highlight. Okay, so here's our home page. One of the most important things for us with the new website was making sure people know where to apply and get information. So we can highlight those systems for requesting information and applying. On every page, they are front and center. One of the most important things beyond that for us was really figuring out navigation, right? That same dread that we all had in trying to find information on the old website, we kind of addressed that and really simplified the navigation for you to know exactly where you need to go. And these are where the 83 pages live. So I'll just show one, for instance. I'll show future students. And you can see on the left-hand side is our new left-hand nav, which shows you exactly where you are constantly. You can jump into the other categories. You will never get lost on this website. That's the point. You always know your way home. That's the goal. So we can actually go into an academics page, for instance, the bachelor's page, and show you different techniques that we're using to really consolidate this info. So we've got the long scrolling text with the different headers and different sections that you're probably used to, but we've also implemented what we call these accordions. And so these accordions are our secret, that's our secret weapon in combating this huge list of pages. What we're able to do is really accordion down information, so if people want it, they know where it's at, otherwise they don't have to see it. So that's been one of our methods. You can look at a department or an actual major page, for instance. Things like rich text video, very clear areas of benefits, program benefits, core curriculum, which has been an amazing work with the registration department on figuring out, making sure that's all correct. And just interactive elements, for instance, jumping to different certificates as well. Another part that I'd like to highlight really comes from Michelle's work in communications. Michelle, Teresa, and their work in the news. So once it loads, There it is. Okay, great. Great, I apologize about the connection. But what we wanted to deliver was a new way to look at our student news. The content that we've been generating in communications has been fantastic, stuff that our teacher students need to read, to know why we are so good. The problem with the old website is nobody knew where to find it. No one knew where to find it, right? And so it was in the list of those, people, one person per day list, which is really unfortunate. So we wanted to make sure that we highlight where all that information is and really deliver a fantastic experience for all the news content that we have, including faculty highlights, events that have gone by and are upcoming, and us in the news as well. So we can really send our prospective students to this area and really enjoy. I want to show you just a few more little dynamic things that I've been able to implement. See that scroller? We want to consolidate information not only in accordions and through listing information, but also in really interactive parts of the website. So now users can actually click through on these different elements and get to different parts of content. So in case you're wondering where content is, be sure to look at different areas and different implementations of how information is displayed, rather than just a huge long text list, essentially. So now what I'm going to do is did I spell that right? Oh yeah, thanks for catching that. Great. Yeah, it's like I don't know what that is. Okay. Great. And so now what I'd like to bring us to is a new portal that we just opened up on Monday, because there wasn't enough time to get it done on Friday when we launched. But on Monday, what we've decided to do is really try and work with every single individual here at Union and consider and review all the edits and suggestions, additions that anybody would like to submit. So what we've opened is this portal for you to submit information, submit ideas, submit thoughts, things that you would like to see added, whatever you find. And this is how you do it. So you go to myunion.edu/suggestions. This is our portal. And this will also be handled by our content managers, which you'll hear about as well. But this is really the structure of how you can submit changes. So no more need to send off a blind email to someone you don't know. You can work through here, and we can get it directly. So for instance, if there's a broken link or a missing page, all you have to do is tell me where it is. So I'm just going to fake it. So you tell me what department it would relate to, right? All of these are very dynamic to the concerns that you might have. And so in a few sentences, tell me how this will impact future students. That's something that we want to frame the entire website around, making sure every change that we make, how will it affect our future students? That's the most important influencer and decision maker that we'll use to make or to judge our edits and make changes to the website. So I'm just going to fake that again. So this is where you put in your contact info. This is critical for us, especially me and Michelle, so we know who to reach out to. So we know who to contact. We have an ongoing policy that's in development, but what we're going to try for, what we're going to shoot for, is within a week we're going to try and make those edits and communicate to you, or communicate to you before that on why we need extra time to make those edits. So that's our structure. And you can see that for all of these different areas. I can kind of describe these really quick. I think that might clear things up. So we can talk about website text. What does that mean? So that's problems that you see, maybe in spelling, in the actual spacing of the text. It's all formatting issues, essentially. When you go into Microsoft Word, you see that little red line, right? We can't see that on the web, so that would be really helpful. But this is a place to catch it. And those are primarily handled by Michelle in terms of what content is approved for a consistent, cohesive voice across the entire website. So 404 missing. 404 means that something is gone on the web that it shouldn't be, okay? So that's where anyone can point out broken links to us, things that used to function but now they don't. There are some that are very intentional. So some pages have been moved and migrated to Campus Web, for instance, and really content that's dealt with our current students. Most of that is being in the process moved to Campus Web. So that's where a lot of that will be housed. And our future students is primarily the website. So that's kind of how we're thinking about the dichotomy there. But if you have one that you've noticed that you think is very important, that's where you would put it, and I will be able to know that and get to that right away. So look and feel. Look and feel is any visual problems that you're noticing. If anything displays wrong, things on mobile, things like that, that's where that content would be suggested. Additions. This is the one that I'm most interested in. I would like to know your feedback of what you think we can do better. Right? What do you think we can add to the website to really improve our future experience? If you have any ideas, that's where they go. Removals is the opposite of that process. If there's anything that you think we have there that shouldn't be there, that's where the suggestions would come through. And other is if there's any suggestion that you don't have, we will try to keep this as open as possible. If there's any suggestion that's not listed into one of these categories, please let us know. We'll be able to see that as well. So that is a holistic overview over main parts of the website that I think are interesting to show. Communications about navigation, communications about our academic side of it and our admissions side of it. And now we can go back to that presentation. Okay, so we've had a lot of additions and a lot happening in enrollment in the website, and so I'd like to talk about how social media plays into that very briefly, just touch on it. It's a conversation that we're going to have much more closely with Kimbria taking the lead here on how social media really impacts our admissions team, which is very exciting. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview of where we are in social media. And so we'll just talk about our Facebook just briefly. What we have noticed in the past is an inconsistent message from Union in terms of our Facebook. There hasn't been a guided effort from admissions, really from any central part of Union, because it just kind of sprung up out of nowhere. And it really surprised everyone, right? There's this new social media element. How do we deal with this? So one of the things I'd like to show you is our history of dealing with it. And it's been a fantastic effort from the centers. What we've really discovered is they have been trying to make Facebook work for longer than Union as a whole has, which is really interesting. So individual centers have tried opening pages, have tried making groups, have really made an effort into social media before we have been able to develop a cohesive plan around it and really launch with that. So we're excited to share that plan with you, however so briefly. So one of the graphs that I'll just show you really quickly is our Facebook history. And you can see this is when Michelle came on. So you can see how much effort she has put into making this Facebook work in terms of social media. Michelle, would you like to speak a little bit about social media? Fantastic. So this would be a great time to introduce Michelle Roth.
Trying really hard not to trip over any wires to get up here. So overall, something to keep in mind as we go through this whole rundown on the new website and our social media is that we're not, as we all know, like a traditional school with a campus and sports teams and dorms and sororities. You know, we operate mostly online, and that's where our community is. So it is extra super important for us to make sure that our website and our social media, that's where our community is, and that's where our image is, so it is so important. It's something also to keep in mind as we've changed this website and made it so much cleaner, and as Mark has explained, made it so much easier to find things, is that from a communications and marketing standpoint, we're always pointing people back to the website or some other social media outlet that we have. So in our advertising, our email blasts, all of our social media platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, please like us and share if you haven't. We're always going out and telling people about Union in these places, and we always, almost always want to drive them back to our website for more information. And now that we have a nice, clean, shiny website, now people, more than ever, we want to send people there because they'll be able to find what they're looking for, they'll be able to find the programs they're looking for, and we're not going to turn anyone off. So this is, from a marketing communication standpoint, like so important. Now we want to send, more than ever, we want to send people to our website. Another thing to keep in mind is they'll be able to find what they're looking for, and the content is more meaningful than ever. We didn't just put a new pretty face on what we had before. The content was completely overhauled. The visuals have been completely overhauled on the website. And from a marketing perspective, like Mark said, we looked at everything from the idea of what does a prospective student want. That is our audience. They don't have a lot of time. As we all know, our students are super busy with their families and kids and their jobs. So they don't have a lot of time to spend on our site trying to find what they're looking for. And of course, they always have to keep in mind that we have lots of competitors who are doing what we do. And that if someone doesn't find what they're looking for, they don't find the program right away, there's another university who has a website that they will go to. So these are all things we kept in mind. And also, when we were looking at the older site, not only were there a billion pages on there, that became, and it just wasn't efficient because our, we have such a small staff to keep all those pages up to date and to find things that were wrong. I mean, it was just too much. So on so many different levels, this new website will be such a nice, clean start for everyone. Do you want to talk about Twitter? Or you?
Yeah, it's totally up to you.
I'll let you do it, but
okay.
So just to reiterate, like all of our social media outlets and all of our marketing and all of our advertising, now we can feel better than ever about pointing people to our homepage and our website. So.
Thank you, Michelle. Great. So now what I will do is talk about just to touch on a few additions that we've had in terms of social media and really connecting them to the new site. So one of the first things that I am extremely excited to announce to everyone at Union is we have unified account names. You can find us at the same handle on all of these social media sites for the first time in Union history, which is fantastic. And so that handle is MyUnion.edu across the board. MyUnion.edu straight away. We can share that to any prospective student, any future student that we have, and they will know where to find us on every single social media site. These are the sites that I'm excited to work with all the admissions teams in rolling out how can we use these, really create fun, creative methods to come up with how to use Instagram or how to use our YouTube or how to use Vine, how to use Periscope, right? We are looking at all the newest forms of social media. So let's talk about Facebook. So what have we done? We have really made a complete strategy around our Facebook and the website, a dual launch between these two. And so we have a new structure that we have come up with, which is a single Union Facebook page. It sounds like a crazy proposition, right? But I think we can do it. We have 15 out there in the wild right now. We can consolidate it down to one. So we've got one place to send students to. And in addition to that, we want to make sure every single center is represented on a more local level, right? We want to give them the power to communicate to future students at a local perspective. So what we've done is create new pages for every single center individually. So Union's New England Center, Union's Los Angeles Center, Sacramento, Miami, and us will all have our own pages that we can communicate specifically for the admissions teams to communicate with their prospective students. All of that is housed under the main Union page, which we are really excited about. Talk about how that's going to be managed. This is just a more complicated slide, but just to mention that we are thinking about how those are all managed. And we have a plan to share that as well once we get our admission counselors on board. So another thing I want to talk about is how do we communicate with the students in the future? This is a very exciting update that Kimberly and I have been working on how do we make all the interactions we have with future students really interactive, make them meaningful, make them really want to come to Union for enrollment. So I want to show you an email today. This is a little test email that I just sent myself, to myself from myself, with very general information that you might see in a regular communication from an admissions counselor to a student. Pretty much this is a lot of emails that are sent out. So I'd like to show you where we're going. We're going to much more visually personal emails to communicate to our students. Not only emails, but in general, right? When we're talking about the website, when we're talking about rolling out profiles for incoming students, we want to make sure everyone feels the personality of Union. That's what makes us stand out. So this is just an example of dynamic information, relevant to the actual counselors. So, down in Florida. And it's just very dynamic areas. This is another test one, just to show you what is possible in the future for us to roll out. Yeah, that's where the dynamic comes in. So all of those are relevant fields that are filled in right away. So these are the 3 keywords we want to leave you with on the new website, on all our new communications, on where Union is going. We want to make sure everything is responsive. Responsive to our future students, responsive in a technical standpoint, that they can use it on their phones. We want to make sure all around that we are responsive to you, to the community, that everyone is in communication and working together on this new website. Number 2, we want this to be automatic. What I mean by that is we don't want you to have to feel the back end of the website. We want you to know it works, for it to always be consistent, and for you to be really confident in using the new website and systems that we have. And the last one, just like I had mentioned, is personal. We want to make sure the personalities that house Union, that make us who we are, show through on all the new technology that we're using. So those are the 3 methods that we're using to decide edits and suggestions. We're really sticking to those core 3 models and figuring out how it communicates to future students. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kimbria, and thank you so much.
Yay.
Fantastic. Awesome. I just want to make sure I thank Michelle and Mark again, because as you all saw, I came in at the end. So I'm at that little green section at the end, and then of course they came in a little bit before me. But the website is great. I think it's a great start for us. It's a clean slate. I have very big, audacious goals and dreams about the website, and the great thing is that Mark gets it, which is a scary thing because what's in my brain is quite scary, but I'm excited for where we're going to go, and I hope you all are excited about it too. Yes, I know the website has been a very festive time in terms of rollout. We've had some glitches here and there, and that's going to happen. We can only control what we can control, right? And we will do that. And with your help and your feedback, we welcome that. So I just wanted to circle back a little bit on the suggestions portal that we have. At the end of our time today, there will be an email recap sent to everyone in Union that will recap this meeting. You'll get a link to the recording of this meeting, as well as a link to the portal, okay? So what will happen, we will also in that email send you who in your department area is a content leader, right? So who is that person that is the go-to for content in your area? So when you do submit something through that portal and we see it, we will consult those content leaders in terms of, hey, we received this, we want you all to get together, let's talk about this addition, this what we're going to take away, what we're going to change, so we can make sure it does fit into what our goal is, right? Which is to make this a very, very slick and a very exciting enrollment and recruitment tool, all right? So that's kind of the plan for the website. That's, the next steps for this, and we just wanted to make you aware of that. So what I want to do with the last few minutes that we have, we're going to run over time, is open it up for a few questions. Unfortunately, we can't take all your questions. If you do have a question, after today's meeting, you can just let us know. Send that through the portal as well. You can use the portal for any questions that you were not able to ask here today, and we will be more than happy to address that for you. So if you want to go ahead, is it unmuted?
Unmuted.
Okay, we have a question here in Cincinnati. Go ahead.
Hey everybody, it's Sarah Cole, from Cincinnati. First of all, thank you so much, Mark and Michelle. You guys are incredible. I know how much effort and love you put into your communications. A few questions. Is there a place an individual can submit a story, like a loan or an update if they had a promotion or something? Oh my gosh, one of our alumni was promoted. Can we submit that story so that that can be on that alum page?
Absolutely. I can take that if you'd like. Okay, great. So it's one of our most crucial parts is actually getting our students involved in the whole process, right? And there's so many great stories out there. What a lot of people don't know is communications has been doing that behind the scenes for a very long time, and nobody could find it. So that has existed for a while. You saw it once. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you were that one visitor for that whole month. Yeah. So people have, it's been out there. And what we'd like to do is remake that form, essentially that process, into something much more dynamic and visual. I can give you a little preview of that actually as well in terms of our MSOL form for recommendations. So this is into the future of how we make things more dynamic.
Muted.
Yeah, where was that? So this is how you submit a new letter of recommendation form for the MSOL program. You can see this is much more dynamic than your typical form. Right, so I'll put my name in, for instance, test it out here, and see it's already thanking me personally as Mark for doing this, filling this out, right? So we're talking about personalization on the fly, which is something that we want to build out to all of our constituents. So absolutely, for submitting news stories, that's absolutely on our radar.
Information and alum networking events, is that available?
Fantastic, yeah. Actually, and I can pull it up again, right? So this will be our new donation system that we're doing at Union. And we have a whole new donation portal set up. And this has been really through the efforts of Carolyn Krause to make this happen. And I've just been able to roll it into the new website. So people will be able to donate all kinds of different assets that they have and really help the future of Union to grow. So definitely on the radar. Any other questions from, yeah?
Can you go to the homepage?
Yes.
Down to the bottom.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Yes. Yes.
Consumer information.
Yes.
And these are by and large required to have on our website, state or federal government. In that section, do not look
Sure.
all content. If we are required by
That's fantastic. I welcome all those edits. I can't wait to see them come through. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that as well. It's something really critical to make sure that all the content we have is accurate, and not only that, but make sure that that information is there for the people that need it, right? And so it's not in the faces of everyone. If they don't need to see it, make sure that it's there for the relevant parties, especially from a compliance standpoint. Sure. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I can speak to that too. So that's, yeah. Great question. Yeah. Sure. When things, so what I'd like to say about that is those links appear not to be ready because of glitches that where those things are actually very functional, but actually in the implementation, so implementing the new website in transitions, there are actually 3 different companies that we're working with to make that happen. So getting 3 different companies to talk to each other and make sure everything works, that's why some things appear not to work when actually they're supposed to. So that's why in the last few days I have been pulling, all-nighters, everything I can do to really fix the parts that are broken. And you guys have certainly noticed, I've gotten certainly quite a few emails from different parts that have gone off. I think my email inbox has exploded, hundreds of emails a day. I want to make sure it's short. Great.
I'm just wondering, is there a directory anywhere? Because, I mean, our phones have been kind of quiet. It's nice.
Sure, sure. Yeah. No, that's a great point. So the directory is actually directory.myunion.edu. That still exists. That's still up and live. That's the place where and I can pull that up as well.
Like from the home page, can a student find?
Gotcha. So the directory is where that lives, but you're specifically talking about essentially different departments having their contact info on there, right? That's where 1.3, and I'm rushing to get there, that's where the personalization of Union happens, is where I can roll out profiles on each individual to contact and really make sure that happens. So absolutely on the roadmap and on the radar right away.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a question asking for more information about faculty profiles. They have not yet seen them on there.
Great. So profiles, so we had a question about faculty profiles, just in case other centers didn't hear that. And so that's included, just like I mentioned, in the relevant contact info for the individual departments, relevant contact info for the faculty. I want to make sure that we highlight our faculty as the superstars that they are of teaching. It's really critical to me. My closeness with faculty and the admission side of things really makes me appreciate that side of Union, and I really understand that. So I want to give them a very good experience. So that rolls out in the personalization as well in version 1.3 of this website.
That's going to be a difficult job since we want them to be faculty.
It's going to be easy. That's absolutely right. Yeah, and that's why. No, great.
We have no more questions?
No, sir.
Oh, no more questions.
Okay. We have time for, if anyone here has one more question, and then I want to, again, let you guys go. Any more?
I just have a suggestion.
Sure.
I think some of the links, because they're just in a dark green, they're a little bit hard to identify.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. There's a few thematic little glitches you might have seen, that things like the link color and like gray for over already clicked links. We would make sure that we fix that immediately as possible.
I have a question.
Sure.
So with the Facebook page and stuff like that, and Instagram, like different social media, and
Yeah.
is there a way that I can put connect my Veterans and Union students?
Absolutely, fantastic, yeah. So we can work together, especially different departments that are interested in using social media, especially, veterans is a fantastic part of Union. So we can work with you to make sure that happens, that integration happens, and how is the best to get to those students.
Okay.
Great.
Yes, one more question.
Okay, I appreciate it.
So do you all have blogs that will be?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So, news updates and things internally, possibly from students, things like that, blog stories. So in the past, Union actually calls our news section the blog section. So we used to have a very robust blog, essentially. All of that content really was relevant to put into an actual news hub. And so that's what we've migrated it to, and have been breaking it down into sections per interest. So if somebody's interested in our faculty highlights, they can go right there. Technically, those are blog stories, but we're highlighting them as a news story.
Are they even putting them maybe on a page where it's just current students or potential students?
Absolutely, absolutely. And all that information will be dynamic, and that's absolutely on my radar as well. A thought, I really appreciate that. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you. Oh, yep.
Any QR code for the website?
Oh, good question. So very easy to implement. If we're trying to talk about getting students to the website, how does that work? Kimberly and I will be actually speaking to all the different admissions teams on how to use the new website as a recruiting tool, and how to use social media as a recruiting tool too. We'll all bundle that together when we have that conversation. So stay tuned. We're excited to talk to you about that.
Okay, so I'm going to end this meeting because we have plenty of things now, and this is great. I'm glad we're having this conversation. It can continue via the portal. So if you have things that you want to submit or questions, go to that portal. We'll get that email out this afternoon with a recap of this meeting, the recording of this meeting so you can go back and look at it, and of course the link to the portal and the list of all the content leaders in the area. So you will have that this afternoon. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Sorry again for all the tech issues, but you know what? We worked through it, we made it through, and it's all good stuff. Have a great afternoon, you guys. Have a great rest of the week.